Morning, folks. Welcome to the channel. Hope everybody is well. Miserable weather again today, unfortunately. Um, just before we begin, big shout out again to the guys at Anglers Only. Super apparel. Hopefully, if we can get around this Brexit problem, we'll have some stuff in stock. In terms of other clothing ranges, I'm not going to hold it because it just backs up my cash flow. But if you want any Mega Bass or Ultimate Fishing or any hoodies or caps or any of that stuff, just drop me a message and I'll put it on an order for you, and it'll be in 6 days. So have a look through the Ultimate Fishing France site, and it'll be I can ship it into Ireland and save you the shipping costs and all that stuff. So just to let you know that option is available. Same goes for waders and wading boots. And speaking of which, I showed you very briefly the Grundon's Bankside. They're absolutely cracking pair of boots and really good in the salt water. So far anyway. So they're probably worth a look, to be honest. So I just want to say as well, big thanks to Henry and to everybody who commented on the on Facebook yesterday. Thanks for your really kind comments. Like it meant a lot. Like, it's been a tough few years, and you know, it's really nice to be back in touch with some of the old old crew. We're old crotchety old men now. I was talking to Mick from Jersey, Mr. Fish, total gentleman. Yeah, fished with Mick 20 years ago, and Bob Jemison, another absolute cracker of a guy. They gave us the finest of hospitality down in Jersey, and boy Jesus, those Jersey bass, they fight dirty, right? They head straight for the kelp. Yeah, it was just, you know, I could just list off name after name. I mean, thank you so much. Really nice. So look, just a bit about paddle tails. So the Sawmuras, the one-up shads. There's a bunch of colours that are exclusive to Ultimate Fishing, right? And they really are the best colours, actually, to be honest. But I understand that you know, especially for the younger guys getting into fishing, they can't afford to buy 4 or 5 packets, right? So one packet kind of hedges the main. So I'm going to put together just a few of these, especially for younger guys. So you can buy, you know, tinsel brown, baby bass, the white glitter, fresh cream, and gold glow or whatever, and there'll be different mixes of the top range of colors or whatever. But I will do a mixed. No, I'm not going to do 4 or 5 mixed packets for one person. That would be an incredible task, right? Like, you might as well just buy the 4 packets, right? But yeah, they will be, a few of those will be available. I'm going to do the same with the 4.5 inch X layer, right? So what's in there is 2 shrimping minnow, 2 IU, and 2 500G, my 3 favorite colors, right? So they'll be available as well. We've got some BKK stuff coming, got the lure clips and a new jig head coming from BKK, and these came in yesterday. So it's a 5-inch spindle worm in Waxahachie. I mean, just look at that thing. That is beautiful. Oh, and I ordered myself a proper piece of YouTubing kit. So again, thanks to Henry Gilby for the heads up on what to order, and so the sound quality and the picture quality and everything is going to go up, so it'll be much more watchable. and hopefully more enjoyable for you guys. And the same then, I'll do a mixed bag of madness slugs or whatever. Now this is particularly for young anglers who can't afford to be buying 4 and 5 packets of plastics, right? But not exclusively. Like, I mean, if they're there, I'll do them for you. Anything else? Yeah, we got the 121 poppers, which I showed you. The new IU Z-Claw, which honest to God I just can't get over. I mean, Exoris have done an awesome job, right? If, like Zenith didn't make colours this good. Like, I mean, look at that bad boy. I mean, that is just going. It's just gorgeous. Like, imagine that over a kelp bed. Bass is going to think there's an injured pollock, right? Have it like in a second, right? And really reasonably priced at $28.99. Like, you know, that's not bad for top of the range Japanese hand-painted lure, right? So we got that going on. But I wanted to talk a bit as well about, like, how are you fishing your paddle tails, right? Because the temptation with paddle tails is like, just, all right, I'm going to stick a jig head on and I'm going to belt it out there and I'm just going to wind it back or whatever. And yeah, fine, that'll work, right? But you can also fish them, like particularly say the 5-inch 1-up shad. It's absolutely ideal to be fished on a weightless offset hook, right? If you get the decoy worm, I think it's 103 or whatever. I'll get you the number. I'm not great with numbers since long COVID. I actually called the favorite 852 the 822 yesterday. It's just, my head is not what it used to be since the old COVID worked its magic on it. But like, if you, like, for example, so here's another mixed pack, right? And, like, you know, there's nothing in the sea that's that colour, and yet it's an incredibly successful colour, right? Absolutely slaughters bass. But if you put one of these onto this type of setup, right? So there it is in silky white. Now, honestly, I wouldn't go with the weighted hook. I'd go with the unweighted and fishing a lighter weighted rod. Because if you talk to any spear fisherman or anybody who's done underwater footage of bass, right, they come onto the reef like really quickly. With as soon as there's water on the reef, there's bass on the reef, you know, if they're going to show up that day. It's not like they're not waiting for like 4 or 5 feet of water. I mean, once the water floods over the reef, the bass are in. And that makes those ideal because, you know, you can fish them so shallow, right? And totally explore the whole reef, because there might be a bass sat down at the back of a rock or in a nook or in a gutter that you don't know is there or whatever. So it's just a different way to fish your plastics, like, rather than just your standard up and out you go. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, that's totally legitimate method and it totally works, right? But there's you know, there's just thinking outside the box a bit and play around with stuff a little bit and see, you know, does it work. I mean, I remember the first time I did it, I was fishing a mark in the river and I rigged one up that way, and just, you know, it was the first time we got offset hooks, right? And we flicked them out, and next thing you know, bang, into a fish, you know. Now obviously, of course, it's old hat, right? Like offset hooks are just you know, run of the mill, da da da. But back in the day, it was like, you know, like, you know, total development for us or whatever. Um, but the X layer in particular, I mean, I'm so glad to see the movement, you know, towards, you know, really kind of pushing the X layer a bit again, because it did become a kind of forgotten bait, and I've always fished it, you know, because it's always produced fish for me, and you don't have to fish it on a batchy head, like that'll equally go. That's not a great size. I'm going to see if I have a size here that will take it to hand. Uh, well, for example, just take this off. It will fish particularly well, right, on a coyote head. And what you get then is you get like a zigzag action on your retrieve if you jerkbait fish it. Um, really, really useful for the boat fishermen and the kayak fishermen. You know, if you cast and you jerk, 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 it'll like zag. They used to do a head called a birdie head, and I think that was the kind of the upgrade for the birdie head, right? The replacement for it or whatever. But it gives it that real zigzag retrieve, you know, that bass tend to home in on. So there's not just one way to fish them. Like, it's not like you have to trot them along the bottom, like I talk about a lot. And I mean, Jody Langley sent me a picture of one set up the other day. Jody's great angler. Like, he's a good angler, that guy. And you know, it was set up on the rugby ball style head, and lads were just flicking them out and banging them along the bottom, right? He was talking about fishing the Irish Bass Festival years ago or whatever. Sorry, I'm just rooting through here now to look and see are there other things. Oh yeah, there we go. So that's more like it, right? In terms of the one-up shad, right? That's the kind of setup you're looking for, and the hook set is perfect, and it just slots in there, so you can fish it through the weed. You know, it'll fish extremely well that way, and it's got a lovely action. It's got a lovely swimming action, right? Kind of a slightly different action than it does just put on a single jig head. 1 second now. Yeah. So I also got in the Halco scent, right? I got the freshwater scent. Now, I took this on the advice of Clive Power, a very accomplished angler from Waterford, because he says the freshwater lasts twice as long. So I'm going to take him at his word, and I'm going to test it out. But I got in a few tubes of it to give it a go. So literally all you do is, I mean, if you watch Ultimate Fishing TV, you see the guys dab it. They dab it on everything. Their hard lures, the soft lures, you name it. They put a bit of alcohol on it. And I mean, it makes total sense. Like the dark or the sleeper craw, for example, is just perfect to take a squish of this stuff into the middle of it and just, you know, tipping it along the bottom with the scent pumping out of it. It's got to add some attraction, right? I mean, if you think about other fishing disciplines like dead baiting for pike, you know, oftentimes injected baits outfish natural baits, and then sometimes natural baits outfish injected baits. It just depends on the day. There's no hard and fast rules in fishing, unfortunately. So I just started thinking yesterday that I show you guys a lot of poppers, and I never really actually have explained how I fish poppers, you know. And most of the time I fish them quite quickly, right? I mean, I really pop across the top of the water. This is the new 121. It's an absolute beast of a lure. So they have an extra ball bearing in there. They've dropped the eye down. They've increased the size of the cup. And I mean, it just bums along. I had it out there for a few casts on the beach in front of the house. not this particular one. And it just flies. I mean, it goes a country mile, like, you know. So if you've got a far out reef that you've got to cover, um, but I fish them like really oftentimes quite fast. But then other days, you know, it's quite slow. Um, I mean, we were on a reef in Dungarvan one day, and I had 2 9s and an 8 in the space of, I don't know, half an hour, whatever. Like, the fish were just incredible, and all fell to a popper lure, like just pop, 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 stop, pop, 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 stop, pop, 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 pop. So really quite quick, get it moving. And the pachinko the same. Like, I'll fish the pachinko at times really, really quick, because I think that sometimes, you know, it going that fast, it forces the fish into making a decision. Now that's just me. It might not be the case at all. It's just me thinking out loud, like sharing what I kind of try to figure out over the years. I mean, I know that other days they just want it so slow, and other days, and at night, sometimes static. I was talking to a guy who fishes Rotterdam Harbour, and he was telling me about, you know, they were getting, you know, fish mid 50s to 60s, lovely fish, having great fishing, but they knew there were bigger fish out there. They could hear them feeding on the surface, and he cast out a big popper and just let it flow along with the current, just wobbling, and next thing, boom, you know, and he was into a double figure fish. So, like, it's just worth trying lots of different approaches, you know. Like, lures might be designed to fish a specific way, but I've always said, write your own rule book. Like, you know, you'll learn as you go. Like, the more things you try, uh, you know, the more you'll know, or whatever, you know. And like, especially if you get on the fish, right? Like, if you get on a ball of fish, you know, mix it up, try a few things, like, you know, because you'll find out, well, does this work, does that work, like, you know, does the other work. um, Certainly that's what I like to do. Like, if we're in Dungarvan or something, fishing over the trestles, you know, it's a great place for me to test different styles of surface lure, and at different speeds, and at different retrieves, and you know, like the Frosty, for example, which steps. Now, I've none in stock, right? Because for some reason the Frosty just doesn't sell in Ireland, and yet it's a super lure. Like, it's made for really flat calm conditions, and it has a really wide slide on it. Like, it slides off and then it slides back again. And on those really flat calm days when bass can see everything, uh, it's a pretty good lure to have in your lure box. It's a handy piece of kit to have. But I mean, I said this the other day, and like, you know, fellas just say, "Oh, bright sun and flat calm, we won't catch today." That's not my experience. Like, you know, bright sun, flat calm. If you know where the bass hang out, and because they like to bask in the sun, like they love the heat. You'll do really, really well. And I've said it many times, like, we have marks where we wade out so that we can fish back in, and it's always on the way back in that you spook a great big fish, you know, and it charges out underneath your feet or whatever. Like, they're sometimes incredibly close to the shore. So when I'm fishing, for example, if I'm fishing a rock mark, I don't march on up to the pinnacle and make my first cast. I'll be well back, and I'll cast right in tight, you know, and I'll fish down along, you know, fish up to the right, fish all the little nooks and crannies, just to make sure there's not a fish hanging in close, right? Because if I spook him out or her out, just to get our inclusiveness right there, um, um, then chances are you'll spook more than one fish. You know what I mean? Like I can think of a mark in South Wexford where there's a big rock, and 9 times out of 10, if there's bass on that mark at high water, there's a fish sat behind that rock. He's just sat in there, and it's right in tight to the shore. So what you've got to do is you got to like get parallel to it, and you sling. I usually sling, like drop a little X layer or a little 1-up shad, a little 4-incher, and just let it wobble down in front of them. Give it a pull back up, let it wobble down again. You know, and usually within 2 or 3 chucks, you'll have got the bang of fishes there, and then there's a reef further out from that, and you know, if you stand right up, you can get right up high and look down. You stand right up high with the glasses and look down, you can see the fish hanging on the side of the reef. It's mental. You know, I've been there days and seen, you know, group 5, 6 fish, and they're just circling around, and they won't look at a thing. Like, they just won't touch the thing. But I think that this year, with the sleeper range and some other stuff I have coming in, you know, really excited about getting set up with fishes. They've got some lovely products: the Wobbly, the Don Baloney, the Espetites, and the Ubuntu 7095 and the 105. They're going to be super addition to anybody's lure box. I'm certainly looking forward to fishing them. And what else? Oh yeah, I've been looking at travel rods, right? So I'm going to get myself a red travel rod. Definitely going to get myself 10 root travel rods because I want one. It's that simple. Like, I want to have a nice rod. I'm not going to go to Canada every year, right? So I might as well go with something a bit special. So I'm going to buy myself a red rod to go out there, and well, you can see one hanging up behind you here, and I'm also going to bring a favorite X1 travel, and it looks really cool, and it's total other end of the market. It's like 80 euros or something, right? So you know, I'm not a rod snob. Like, I don't go, oh, you know, it has to be this or it has to be that. Like, I just want a stick that will do the job that I want it to do, right? So yeah, so that's it for today, folks. I think I've kind of wobbled on enough. I'm really tired, actually. I've got a bit of insomnia again for some reason or other. I'm not sleeping very well. It's just a hangover from the long COVID, you know. It comes and goes, and I'm just in a bit of a rough patch with it at the minute, but it'll pass through, and we'll be back at full steam again, like, you know. And I suppose the first couple of weeks in business, you know, really takes it out of you, you know, because you're flat out trying to get orders in and get the right stuff and pick the right stuff and pick stuff that people want, and, you know, not end up stuck with a bunch of stuff. I am going to be at the Adair Springs angling fair. I'm going to have a stall there, so all the kit that I've been showing you will be on sale there. Not on sale as in reduced prices, but for sale. I'm going to take a stall at that, and going to be demonstrating some surface lures and some of the trout lures and some of the salmon lures, so the Visions and the Ryukis and stuff, and let you see just how effective they are. And no doubt some big rainbow is going to come up and munch the Z-claws, so I'm going to have to put single barbless on all the lures just in case they do get munched, which I'm pretty sure they will, and probably fish something reasonably heavy so that I can get those fish in quickly and back into the water as fast as I can and not do them any harm. But yeah, really excited about that. Ned does a great job. I wasn't there last year because I was too sick. But I was there the year before, and it was just a great show. and Cormac Walsh gave a really interesting talk. Self and Henry. Now I don't think Henry's. I don't know whether Henry's coming or not this year or whatever, but yeah, I'm definitely going to be at that, and that's it really for today, folks. I'd say if you're going fishing tight lines, but the only fishing I could imagine anyone doing is dead baiting for pike, or maybe it's a bit better up the country, but it's absolutely miserable here. I mean, it's just, we're in the grip of a howling gale and absolutely lashing rain. It doesn't exactly scream fishing, but if we get any settled weather at all, the bass are there. I know they are, and we'll get at them, and we'll have the GoPro and stuff, so we'll get a bit of decent footage for you to have a look at. Some of the lures in action, yeah, which is something I'm really looking forward to, you know. So that's it, folks. Look, have a good weekend. It's Friday, thank God. A couple of days off, although I don't think I'm going to get a couple of days off, but I get one day off anyway. I'm going to go and barbecue a few lobsters tomorrow and watch the match. So tight lines, everybody, and thanks again for all the comments yesterday and the well wishes. Means the world. Thank you very much. See you later, lads.